Morning everyone, happy Monday and welcome back to a brand new video, which seems or sounds super weird for me to say because I am pre-filming this even before I have launched or started the channel, which is super scary, but at the same time I know these are going to come out at some point in time anyway. But welcome in, as I said, to Monday. We are going to go through a week of training in my life this week, which is exciting because it is a brand new training block for me. So those who don't follow me on Instagram at the moment or don't currently know where I'm up to in my health and fitness journey, I am currently about, as I'm filming this, 8 months out from getting married, which is really, really exciting. But for the entirety of 2024 so far, I have gone through a building phase. So working in a surplus in terms of nutrition and really bloody pushing it in terms of the gym. And only a couple of weeks ago now, I had chosen out my wedding dress, which means I finally have a pickup date and a day alterations need to be done by. So I finally have that timeline for the end of the year, which means I only have a couple months left in my build. So last couple of training blocks, I have mine in 6-week periods. So literally like 2 more to go before in November we'll head into a deficit to kind of take it easy into next year and not have too much stress to place on my body there. So this week, first week of a new phase, as I said, it is going to be kind of like easing it into it. I treat these weeks like a deload week that I choose some lighter weights to work with, make sure my form is correct. Some of the exercises perhaps I haven't done for a little while as well. Looking at this week's or this block anyway, there are quite a few that I haven't done in at least a couple months, so I'll be getting back into that. And deload week as to give my muscles a little bit of a break. Last week was the final week of a block, so I really pushed it in terms of that. So I need the rest a little bit there. But anyway, let's talk about my training week. Today is upper body, and sounds weird to say that I start on an upper body, but in terms of the layout of the rest of the week, it just works because I never do 2 leg days in a row or never do 2 upper body days in a row. I need to make sure I keep alternating that just to give my muscles a good break between that and the next session. So Mondays I do upper body, Tuesdays I do lower body, Wednesdays I do upper body, which is great to start the week out on an upper body because I love those sessions. They're kind of like in and out, nice and fast, and I feel like I can push it a lot more in an upper body session than a lower. So really good way to start off the training week. Then I have a rest day on Thursday. That is check-ins with my clients that day. So I just get up nice and early, go on a big walk by myself, and then get stuck into computer work for the rest of the day. Friday, I do legs again. Saturday is either normally a rest day or I do some sort of higher intensity or like group fitness class there as well. And then that brings us to Sunday, which again is a lower body day. So I train 5 days a week, 3 lower, 2 upper, and they kind of split like that, which is a new routine that I've kind of brought in recently. Normally I would be the person that did it Monday to Friday, all 5 sessions, just because I like to get them done before the weekend came. But it's something I've had to change with schedules, etc. It just works better to go with this format for the moment. So let's get into day 1 upper body. I also wanted to bring you along for this week as well because it's a week sometimes I fuck up and I did in exercise number 1 today. So enjoy that. I am going to keep that footage in because it is actually kind of hilarious. But I wanted to show the real and raw truth as well of the first week of your new blog because, as I said, sometimes you haven't seen those exercises in a little while. So enjoy, and I'm sure I'll be back on here later in the video.
So we are starting off strong with our upper body session here with a warm-up. Now this is the only one I filmed of the entire week, but trust me, I do warm up for each of my sessions. So thoracic mobility is a big one for me for my upper body. So you can see me doing some rotations with the foam roller. But we are going to start out strong today. Upper body with a bench press. Now this is the one I am talking about when I completely fail, but we'll get to that in a second. We're just starting out with a couple warm-up sets of just a bar. I do this always with all my compound lifts, so think your bench press, think your squats, your deadlifts, etc. So just making sure I'm warming up that movement pattern, making sure I've got the setup right, which I didn't for this, so I had to redo it between that and my working set. And we are going off strong with 8 reps today, starting with 37.5 kilos. That is what I had on the previous block, or ended up on the previous block. But you'll see that was way too heavy for me today. So I actually end up failing about after 5 or 6 reps here, and the safety bars were also not in the right spot for that. So you'll see me absolutely struggle in no time here. So after that epic fail, we are moving on to a row variation. So single arm here, working unilaterally and ideally targeting the lats through this one. So I did about 10 on each side before repeating for 3 sets. That's basically what for most of my exercises is that 3 set range, unless I add in another set for some of my compound moves. But afterwards, we are going straight into seated lateral raises. So with this one, just taking out the movement or possible movement through an upper body or torso in general while standing. So minimizing that by staying seated, but targeting the delts through this one. And then we're going to go into a lat pull down. Now I've been working so hard on these since, so they're not perfect here, but we don't want perfection. We just want consistency over time. So again, targeting the lats through a different plane of movement rather than the single arm row. And then we are going to go into the rear delts, targeting those little baby shoulder muscles on your back. Now, me setting up this machine always takes forever. I'm very particular in exactly the height I needed for my arms. But with this one, main thing is making sure I'm just not overextending as I bring those shoulder blades together. But this is an absolute burner. I can do maybe like 5 or 6 straight, and then I need to take a rest and reset. But we're ending off this upper body session with some biceps. So hammer curl with the rope on the cable machine here. These are an absolute burner. Going up in weight is super difficult. But later in the morning, I actually went out on a little walk down at the beach. Monday, Wednesday, Fridays, I have a meeting for an hour at 10 a.m. So I tend to take that whilst also getting my steps in, but it was super windy that day too. Now we are fast forwarding to Tuesday. I've just finished off a shift at reception, I believe at about 1 p.m. So we went straight into training after having some lunch. So this is just me getting ready before we're gonna slam the legs on this day. So we're going to start off with a high bar heel elevated squat, really targeting through the quads and glutes here. And again, squats have been a big working point for me, so I was so proud of these and the depth I was managing to get throughout. But we did 8 reps of these ones before we moved on to my least favorite exercise, and one I struggle with the most, which is actually good morning. So targeting through the hamstrings and mostly glutes here. I did them on the Smith machine, which, as I said, I struggle super badly with. So it's something over the last couple of weeks since this has been filmed that we are slowly improving. Next up for the session, we are moving into some leg press. Now, I hate this machine and this setup. I prefer to use the one behind it, but as you can see, it was being utilized at that point in time. So again, just working on my depth throughout this one. It is a struggle point for me and my hips, just like my squat. It is exactly the same movement pattern, but you'll see a PT walked past and told me to wait. So that is exactly what I am doing here. But we are going to then move on to targeting and isolating through our quads here. So single leg extensions, 12 on each side, which was an absolute burner, but I actually love these. And then lastly, through this session, again, ending off with one of my least favorite exercises, we've got hyperextensions. And I'm a very hamstring dominated person, so these are meant to target your glute as well, but I don't tend to feel it through there. So again, this has been a massive working point for myself over the last couple of weeks to make sure I'm targeting through the right places. But that is exactly why I'm using no weight here, because I'm wanting to make sure I can feel it through my glutes rather than my hamstrings going for it. And just like that, we have made it to a Wednesday morning now, where we are back into an upper body session. So again, starting out strong with a seated shoulder press on the hammer strength machine, which is a new addition to this gym. So this was actually my first time using it. Setup was really simple, and again, an absolute burner through those shoulders. Now we're going to go through our lats again, targeting unilaterally here with a seated row variation. So again, keeping that elbow nice and close in and working on that rotation as I come down to work the lats through the full range. Did 10 on each side here before we moved on to the shoulders. Again, targeting more through that front delt with some front raises. So again, just like Monday when we were doing the seated lateral raises, we're standing here, so we can expect to see a little bit of movement through the torso, but again, working on isolating one side of those delts. Now we are moving back again to a lat pull down variation. This one targets the biceps a little bit just because of the grip position on the bar. We are going in for a reverse lat pull down, so palms are facing towards yourselves, bringing those biceps into play, but ultimately targeting the lats. And again, different variation or movement to the single arm row. We're working in a vertical plane here rather than a horizontal previous to that. And then we're going to end it off with actually my favorite tricep exercise. These are single arm push downs. Very humbling. You can see on there is literally one plate, which is 5 kilos, but not as humbling as a lateral raise leaning on the cable machines, luckily. But these are an absolute burner, keeping those elbows nice and still so we can target and isolate through the triceps at the back of the arm. But again, being Wednesday, we are now going out for a little bit of a walk while taking that meeting, and the skies were so blue. A little bit of cloud in there, but at least it wasn't as bad as Monday.
Good morning, everyone. Happy Thursday. It is rest day today, so we are down at the beach nice and early. It's just ticked over 6:30. I have already gotten a coffee on my way here, and we're going to go on a nice long walk. I love this day of the week and this walk on this day of the week as well, because I actually put my headphones in but do not listen to any music, any podcasts, nothing, unless I'm completely in the mood for it. But I normally just switch off and kind of be in my thoughts for the whole time, which is the perfect start to the day because it is check-ins with my clients today. So I end up spending a lot of the day at a desk and kind of giving a lot of my energy over during those times. So it's good to fill up my cup first, and then I don't completely drain it by the end of the day. But I am going to get on this walk now and get into some nice fresh air. It has been raining all morning as well, so I have a very high chance of getting pissed down on. And after a pretty chill day on Thursday, we're rearing to go for Friday. And I remember this day so vividly because I had so much steam to burn. So we went absolutely hard here, even though I said at the start of the video it was meant to be a little bit more of a chill one. But we are starting off with a glute drive machine. For the rest of the block, I actually did these with the barbell, has hip thrust, constant tension, but all of the boxes for the setup were being used on that morning. Now, do not mind my terrible filming angles here, but we're going in for a heel elevated goblet squat. Love-hate relationship here. Love-hate for sure. They get your heart rate up so high, but I do love the movement pattern in general. And what I also do love is these Bulgarian split squats, surprisingly, because most people absolutely hate them, but I find them such a good challenge, again, getting the heart rate up nice and high, and I find my balance is actually really good. So I find these super easy in regards to that. Now, next up, we're going to target the hamstrings, which we haven't yet done this session, with a seated hamstring curl here. So 8 reps was all we had to do. So we upped that weight absolutely massively. And I think I hit so many PBs in this session. It was not funny. And the final exercise on this session, we are going in for glute kickbacks. Now, I used to struggle again really badly with these, but really can work them through the full range of motion now. So we did 12 each side, and I didn't quite hit that rep number just because I was working the same weight I finished the last block off at. Now, last session and final one for the week. We are getting it done nice and early on a Sunday morning here. We've had a rest day in between and going straight in with some RDLs. Again, another exercise I have normally struggled with, but in the last couple of weeks worked super hard on feeling a lot more through my glutes rather than my hamstrings. As I said, very hamstring dominated person here. And now we're going into the second leg press of the week. Got to use my preferred machine for this one, and again focusing on that depth. Fairly certain I did up the weight from the leg press earlier in the week. And then going through another hamstring curl variation here. We're going lying, so targets the glutes a little bit as well, but again with this one really had to focus on keeping my hips nice and pressed down into the bench. That is something that tends to lift off as things get a little bit heavier, and then again full range of motion throughout
there. Next up, we're going into cable step-ups. Again, one of my least favorite exercises. Do love it though, because it is single leg and I tend to love a single leg movement, but I tend to feel it, especially when my hamstrings are a little bit fatigued in there rather than my glutes. So really making sure I am feeling it through quads and glutes here, and also not using the momentum from my back leg to come back up, which I feel like, again, I've been so much better at lately. And final exercise of the week, we're going in for machine seated abductions, so targeting through your glute minimus and medius and leaning forward to do that as well, and a little bit of that outer thigh.
Hello everyone, I just wanted to pop in here and first off say a massive thank you for watching this video. I really hope you like seeing a training week in my life. I know it's a little bit different to usual because it was the first week of a training block. So from this week onwards, it's all about pushing it in terms of my training there. So those who follow me on Instagram would have already seen the PBs that were hit in the week after, but really just that first week, just as I explained at the start of the video, focusing on a little bit of a deload, focusing on my muscle connection and making sure that my movement patterns with those exercises are absolutely perfect, and then we build on that from there. But as usual, if you did like this video, please make sure you give it a thumbs up, which, as I said at the start, sounds so weird to say. Make sure you press subscribe as well to be the first to see any future videos. And from here, I guess I will see you guys next Tuesday. Bye.